Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. Failure is not your enemy, it's your greatest ally. It is not the end of the road, it is the beginning of a new journey. When you face setbacks, when you stumble, when you feel like you're falling short, I want you to remember this: failure is a stepping stone, not a dead end. There's a saying that goes, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Courage to continue. You see, failure doesn't define you, it refines you, it rounds you. It's you grow stronger, wiser, and more determined. Every time you fall, you get back up with more experience, more knowledge, and a heart that is more prepared for the challenges ahead. And I know what you're thinking, but unless I've failed before, I've tried, and it just didn't work out. Let me tell you something. You didn't fail. You just discovered another way that didn't work. Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb, said he didn't fail 1,000 times. He simply found 1,000 ways that didn't work. So when you face failure, don't take it personally. Don't let it make you feel like you're not good enough. Understand that it's simply part of the process. It's a lesson in disguise. Failure is not here to break you. It's here to make you, to mold you into the person you need to become in order to achieve your dream. You see, there's something beautiful about failure. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you that the true measure of success is not how many times you win, but how many times you get back up. In every failure, there's a lesson, there's growth. It's like the caterpillar that turns into the butterfly. The caterpillar struggles inside the cocoon, but without that struggle, it wouldn't be able to break free and spread its wings. Your struggle, your challenges, your failures, they're shaping you into something greater. So I want you to stand tall in the face of failure. Back down, don't shrink away. Embrace it, because it is the very thing that's pushing you forward. The next time you fail, I want you to smile, because you know that it's not the end. It's just a stepping stone. Remember, failure is not the end. It's a stepping stone. Keep moving forward, keep learning, keep growing, and keep fighting for your dreams. Your victory is closer than you think. Failure is a learning experience. It's not just a moment of defeat, but an opportunity to grow, to reflect, and to come back stronger. In life, we all face moments of hardship, times when things don't go the way we want them to. But if you look closely, if you choose to see things differently, you'll realize that failure holds more power than success ever could. Why? Because in failure, we discover lessons that shape our character, refine our skills, and direct us towards success in ways that victory simply can't. When you fail, it's easy to feel like you've reached the end. It's natural to experience disappointment, frustration, and even fear of what comes next. But I want you to change the way you look at that feeling. Failure is not a sign of your inadequacy. It's evidence that you're pushing boundaries, that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, and that you are on the path towards something greater. When you try something new, when you push yourself to grow, failure is inevitable. It's part of the process, and it's how you respond to it that will determine your success. The first thing you must realize is that failure isn't permanent. It's a temporary setback, not a life sentence. If you fall down, get back up. The question is not whether you will fail, but how you will handle it when you do. Will you let it stop you, or will you learn from it and use it as fuel to propel yourself forward? Most people who achieve greatness have failed countless times. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the amount of failure they encounter, but their ability to learn and adapt in the face of it. Learning from failure requires humility. It requires the willingness to acknowledge that you don't know everything, that there is room for improvement, and that mistakes are part of the journey. When you fail, instead of beating yourself up, take a step back and ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I do differently next time? Every failure holds a valuable lesson. It teaches you what doesn't work, which is just as important as knowing what does. In fact, it's often easier to learn from what doesn't work than from what does, because failure forces you to dig deeper, to question your methods, and to reconsider your approach. Think about some of the most successful people in history: Thomas Edison, Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey. All of them have faced failure, sometimes in the most public and painful ways. But it was through their failures that they learned what was necessary to reach the heights of success. Edison famously failed thousands of times before he invented the light bulb. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steve Jobs was ousted from the very company he created, but they didn't let failure. They used it to fuel their determination, to refine their skills, and to ultimately create something extraordinary. Failure also provides clarity. When things don't work out, you're forced to examine what's truly important. You can't keep moving forward with the same approach if it's not yielding results. Failure creates a moment of pause, a chance to reassess your goals, to redefine your strategy, and to reevaluate your commitment. Sometimes failure will lead you down an entirely different path, one that you would have never considered if everything had gone according to plan. It's in those moments of reflection that new ideas are born, new opportunities emerge. One of the most powerful lessons failure can teach us is resilience. The ability to keep going when things aren't going your way is what separates the dreamers from the achievers. It's easy to quit when things get tough, but real strength comes from the ability to persist despite the setbacks. Every time you face failure and choose to rise above it, you build your mental toughness, your grit, and your resolve. You become more prepared to face the next challenge, knowing that you have the strength to overcome it. Moreover, failure helps you develop a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed with effort and perseverance. When you fail, instead of seeing it as a reflection of your limitations, you see it as an opportunity to improve, to grow, and to become better. This mindset shifts your focus from fear of failure to a desire for progress, and it opens the door to endless possibilities. With each failure, you build a stronger foundation for success. In conclusion, failure is not the enemy. It is, in fact, one of your greatest teachers. When you embrace failure as a learning experience, you begin to understand that it is not the setbacks that define you, but how you rise from them. Failure doesn't mark the end of the road, it's simply a detour, guiding you toward the right path. Embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. The more you fail, the closer you get to the success you desire. Keep your head high, your heart strong, and your mind focused on the lessons ahead. Failure is not a dead end, it is a bend in the road, a detour that leads to a different direction. It is a powerful force in life, one that shapes us, molds us, and challenges us to become something more than we are. In moments when we feel like we've hit a wall, when it seems like all our efforts have been in vain, it's easy to think that we have reached the end of the road. But I want to tell you today, failure is not the end. It's simply part of the journey. It's a turning point, not a place of finality. In fact, failure is often the beginning of something even greater than we can imagine. When you fail, you experience disappointment, frustration, and sometimes even self-doubt. It's natural to feel discouraged. After all, we are taught to seek success, to achieve our goals, and to avoid failure at all costs. But in reality, failure is the very thing that propels us forward. It is not the end of the story, it's an invitation to rewrite the next chapter. Think about it. Some of the greatest successes in history were preceded by numerous failures. The person who experiences failure and chooses to get up again is the person who ultimately finds success. Failure can be difficult to swallow, especially when it comes after a long period of hard work and dedication. But I want you to shift your perspective. Rather than viewing failure as a final destination, start to see it as a necessary stop on the road to success. Failure provides valuable lessons that success alone could never teach you. These lessons are what help you grow stronger, smarter, and more resilient. It's through failure that we learn about our weaknesses, our flaws, and our limitations. But it is also through failure that we learn how to overcome those weaknesses, to push past our limitations and rise to new heights. It's important to remember that failure is not something to be feared or avoided. It's something to be embraced because it forces you to become better. When things don't go according to plan, you most likely the opportunity to reevaluate your approach, to make adjustments, and try again with a new perspective. In those moments, you discover what works and what doesn't, what you need to change and what you need to keep doing. Failure teaches you the art of perseverance, the importance of persistence, and the power of resilience. Think about the great inventors, entrepreneurs, and visionaries throughout history. Thomas Edison, for example, failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. He didn't give up after each failure. Instead, he saw each one as a stepping stone toward his ultimate success. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's story is a testament to the idea that failure is not a dead end. It's a way to gather knowledge, gain experience, and move closer to your goal. Each failure he encountered brought him one step closer to the breakthrough he was waiting for. Similarly, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine the setback he must have felt, but instead of letting that failure define him, he used it as motivation to work harder, to train longer, and to refine his skills. Jordan went on to become one of the most successful athletes in history, proving that failure is not a dead end but a catalyst for greater achievement. Failure is also a powerful tool for personal growth. It is in the face of failure that we find our true strength. When everything seems to be falling apart, when the world feels like it's closing in on us, we discover what we're truly made of. Failure pushes us to dig deeper, to find the courage to try again, and to tap into a well of untapped potential. It teaches us to become more resourceful, more creative, and more determined. Through failure, we develop the grit and the resilience necessary to succeed in life. In fact, some of life's greatest achievements come from the moments that seem like the greatest failures. Think about the person who sets out to start a business, only to face rejection after rejection, failure after failure. Eventually, they may experience a breakthrough, a moment when everything clicks into place. But that success is built on the foundation of all those failures, all the lessons learned, and all the obstacles overcome. What you must understand is that failure is never final. It's never the end of the journey. It's simply a part of the process. Every time you fail, you are one step closer to success. The key is to keep going. The road may be bumpy, the path may twist and turn, but if you refuse to let failure stop you, if you embrace it and learn from it, you will continue to move forward. Don't let the fear of failure paralyze you. Instead, let it drive you to become better, to push harder, and to keep going. Failure is not a dead end. It is the beginning of something new, a stepping stone that leads to greater things. Embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. The best is yet to come. Resilience is one of the most powerful forces that we possess as human beings. It is the ability to bounce back, to rise again after being knocked down, and to keep moving forward despite the challenges, setbacks, and obstacles that life throws our way. Resilience is not something we are born with, but rather something that we develop and strengthen through experience. It is the mental toughness, the inner strength, and the emotional fortitude that allows us to face adversity head on and keep pushing forward, even when the odds are stacked against us. The power of resilience lies not just in the ability to endure hardship, but in the ability to transform that hardship into an opportunity for growth. When life challenges us, as it inevitably will, it's easy to feel defeated, to want to give up, and to believe that the struggle is too much to bear. But resilience teaches us that challenges are not the end of the road, they are the beginning of a new chapter. Each time we face adversity and rise above it, we grow stronger, we learn more, and we become better equipped to handle whatever comes in the future. Resilience is the quality that allows us to take the blows of life without being broken by them. It is the foundation upon which we build our capacity for success, happiness, and fulfillment. One of the key aspects of resilience is the ability to maintain a positive mindset even in the face of adversity. When things go wrong, when we fail or experience pain, it's natural to feel discouraged, frustrated, or even hopeless. But resilient people are able to reframe their thoughts, to find the silver lining in difficult situations, and to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as insurmountable obstacles. This mindset doesn't come easily. It takes practice, self-awareness, and a commitment to staying focused on the bigger picture. But when we learn to embrace the difficulties that come our way and view them as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks, we begin to unlock the true power of resilience. Resilience also requires a deep sense of belief in ourselves and in our ability to overcome challenges. It's easy to doubt ourselves when we face failure or setbacks, but resilient individuals understand that their worth is not defined by their mistakes or by temporary hardships. They know that they are capable of achieving their goals even when the road to success is long and difficult. This self-belief is not rooted in arrogance or blind optimism, but in a deep understanding that every challenge is an opportunity to grow, to improve, and to prove to ourselves just how strong and capable we truly are. Another important aspect of resilience is the ability to persevere. Life is full of ups and downs, and there will always be moments when things don't go as planned. The ability to keep going, even when the journey feels impossible, is one of the hallmarks of resilience. It's the determination to continue moving forward, no matter how many times you fall or how many obstacles stand in your way. Resilience teaches us that success is not about avoiding failure, but about learning from it, growing from it, and continuing on our path even when the path is tough. The power of resilience is also reflected in the way we learn from adversity. Every hardship, every failure, every difficult moment in our lives holds a lesson. Resilience allows us to extract those lessons and use them to become better versions of ourselves. Instead of being defeated by our struggles, resilient people use them as fuel for growth. They understand that failure is not something to fear, but something to learn from. Each time they fail, they grow wiser, more experienced, and more equipped to handle future challenges. This ability to transform setbacks into stepping stones is what separates those who achieve lasting success from those who give up too soon. Moreover, resilience is not something we achieve in isolation. It is often the support of others, friends, family, mentors that helps us stay strong in times of adversity. Resilient people recognize the importance of leaning on others, of asking for help when needed, and of surrounding themselves with positive influences. No one can face life's challenges alone, and resilience is about knowing when to reach out, when to lean on the support of others, and when allow others to help us rebuild our strength. The power of resilience is amplified when we have a network of people who believe in us and who encourage us to keep going, even when we feel like giving up. Ultimately, the power of resilience lies in its ability to transform us. It makes us stronger, more capable, and more confident in our ability to face life's challenges. Every time we rise above adversity, we are building our resilience and preparing ourselves for whatever comes next. Resilience is not about avoiding difficulty, it's about facing it with courage, learning from it, and growing through it. The more resilient we become, the more capable we are of achieving our dreams, overcoming obstacles, and living a fulfilling life. Life will always present challenges, but with resilience we can meet those challenges head on, knowing that no matter how difficult the road may be, we have the strength to keep moving forward. Failure builds character. It is a force in our lives that, while often uncomfortable and unwelcome, plays an essential role in shaping who we are. When we experience failure, it challenges us in ways that success never can. It tests our patience, our persistence, our courage, and our resilience. Through the struggles and setbacks we face in life, we are forced to dig deep, to confront our limitations, and to push past our fears. This process of growth and self-discovery is what ultimately builds our character, transforming us into stronger, more capable individuals. When everything is going well, when we're achieving success and things are falling into place, it's easy to feel confident and secure. But success alone doesn't build the depth of character that failure does. It's the difficult moments, the moments when we fall short, that challenge us to become better versions of ourselves. Failure doesn't just teach us how to be successful, it teaches us how to be strong in the face of adversity. It teaches us how to stand up after falling down, how to learn from our mistakes, and how to keep going when it feels like the world is working against us. One of the most profound ways that failure builds character is by teaching us humility. When we fail, we are reminded that we are not infallible, that we are not immune to mistakes, and that we are not in control of everything. Failure strips away the illusions of perfection and invites us to accept our flaws and imperfections. It teaches us to be humble in our accomplishments, knowing that we did not get to where we are without facing challenges, without experiencing setbacks, and without learning from our mistakes. Humility, born from failure, is the quality that keeps us grounded and allows us to continue growing, even when we reach new heights of success. Failure also teaches us perseverance. It is through failure that we learn the importance of persistent determination. When we face setbacks, we have two choices: we can quit or we can try again. The choice to keep going, even when things seem impossible, is what builds character. It's not about how many times we fall, but about how many times we rise after falling. Each time we face failure and continue on, we build the muscle of perseverance, which becomes an invaluable trait in all areas of life. The most successful people in the world have not avoided failure, they have learned how to use it as fuel to keep moving forward, to push through the obstacles, and to keep their eyes on the bigger picture. In addition to perseverance, failure teaches us the importance of resilience. When we fail, we experience disappointment, frustration, and self-doubt. But as we pick ourselves up and move forward, we develop the strength to handle life's challenges with grace and tenacity. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, and is something that is forged in the fire of failure. Every time we rise after falling, we strengthen our resilience. It's not something that comes easily or naturally. It is something that we build over time through each setback and each challenge we face. Resilience allows us to face the next challenge with a sense of confidence, knowing that we have the strength to endure and overcome whatever comes our way. Failure also teaches us the importance of self-reflection and growth. When things don't go according to plan, we are forced to look inward, to ask ourselves tough questions, and to evaluate our choices and actions. Failure provides us with the opportunity to learn from our mistakes, to identify where we went wrong, and to make improvements for the future. That pushes us to be honest with ourselves, to examine our weaknesses, and to make the necessary changes to become better. Without failure, we might never take the time to reflect on our actions or to consider the changes that are needed to improve. It's through failure that we become more self-aware, more open to feedback, and more committed to personal growth. Moreover, failure helps us develop empathy. When we experience our own struggles and setbacks, we gain a deeper understanding of the challenges that others face. We learn that everyone, no matter how successful it may seem, has encountered failure in their lives. This understanding breeds compassion, allowing us to support and encourage others when they go through difficulty. Failure connects us. As human beings, it reminds us that we are all on this journey together, and that our struggles are not a sign of weakness, but a part of the process of growth. Ultimately, failure builds character because it forces us to become the best versions of ourselves. It teaches us important life lessons that success alone cannot provide. Through failure, we learn humility, perseverance, resilience, self-reflection, and empathy. These qualities form the foundation of our character, shaping who we are and how we navigate the world. Without failure, we would not have the opportunity to grow, to learn, or to become the person we were meant to be. It is through our struggles and setbacks that we discover our true strength, and it is through failure that we are given the chance to rise to our fullest potential. Failure is not something to be feared, it is something to embrace, for it is in our failures that we find the greatest opportunities for growth. Don't take failure personally. It's a phrase that can be difficult to embrace, especially when we pour our hearts and souls into something only to see it not work out the way we hoped. We live in a world where success is often celebrated while failure is stigmatized and seen as something to be avoided at all costs. When we fail, it's easy to internalize that failure, to let it define us and make us feel inadequate. But the truth is, failure is not a reflection of who you are. It is simply a part of the process of life, a moment in time that doesn't determine your worth. Learning not to take failure personally is one of the most powerful lessons you can embrace, for it allows you to move mistakes and continue on the ascent to success. The first thing to recognize is that failure is a natural part of life. It's not something that happens because you're not good enough or because you lack the skills or intelligence to see. Failure happens because we are all constantly trying new things, taking risks, and pushing ourselves to grow. Whether it's in our careers, relationships, or personal endeavors, there will always be times when things don't go as planned. Failure is not a reflection of your value or your capabilities. It's simply an event that happens as part of the learning process. If you take failure personally, you risk letting it prevent you from trying again, from continuing to grow, and from pursuing your goals with passion and determination. Taking failure personally often stems from a fear of judgment, especially self-judgment. We fear that if we fail, others will think less of us, or worse, that we'll think less of ourselves. This fear is rooted in our desire for approval and validation from others. When we take failure personally, we allow it to become an identity. We begin to believe that failure is a reflection of who we are as a person rather than something that happens to us. This mindset can trap us, making it difficult to move forward and to see the bigger picture. It's essential to understand that failure is an event, not a definition of your character. It's a moment in time that does not dictate your future or your potential. To truly learn from failure, we need to be able to separate ourselves from it. When something doesn't go right, it's important to look at the situation objectively and without judgment. Instead of asking, "What does this say about me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective allows you to view failure as a stepping stone, not a roadblock. When you detach your identity from the outcome, you free yourself to see failure for what it truly is, a learning opportunity. Each failure carries with it valuable lessons that can help you improve, adjust, and ultimately succeed. If you take failure personally, however, you may miss those lessons and allow your feelings of inadequacy to cloud your judgment. Another reason we take failure personally is because of our desire for control. We like to believe that we can shape our outcomes and determine our success. While it's true that we have control over our actions and efforts, there are always external factors that are our control. Life doesn't always go the way we expect, and sometimes things happen that are completely out of our hands. When we take failure personally, we fail to acknowledge that some things are simply beyond our control. Accepting that there are variables we cannot predict or manage helps us let go of the need for perfection. It frees us to keep trying to adjust and to keep moving forward, knowing that every setback is not a reflection of our inadequacy, but a set of circumstances that we can learn from. Taking failure personally also often leads to self-doubt and a fear of trying again. If you believe that failing means you are incapable or unworthy, it can create a cycle of fear that prevents you from taking risks or stepping outside your comfort zone. This fear of failure can become paralyzing, and the more you avoid failure, the more you limit your growth and potential. The truth is, some of the most successful people in the world have failed many times. The difference is that they didn't allow those failures to define them. They used them as opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to improve. Failure does not make you a failure. It simply means that you've encountered a temporary setback, and it's up to you to use that experience to grow and come back stronger. Moreover, taking failure personally can prevent us from asking for help or seeking advice. We might feel embarrassed or ashamed of our mistakes, and so we withdraw and try to handle things on our own. But by not taking failure personally, you can approach others for support, feedback, and guidance. There is strength in vulnerability, and by embracing the lessons of failure, you open yourself up to new perspectives and ideas that can help you move forward. In the end, failure is not something to be feared or avoided, and it is certainly not something to take personally. It is a natural part of the journey toward success, growth, and fulfillment. When we learn to see failure as an event, not a reflection of our worth, we can embrace it with confidence, curiosity, and a commitment to learning. Failure is not the end of the road. It is simply a detour that leads to greater wisdom, understanding, and ultimately success. Don't take failure personally. Take it as a lesson and use it as fuel to continue moving forward toward your goals. Success requires overcoming failure. The simple truth is often overlooked in a world that glorifies instant results and easy victories. We live in a society that celebrates the stories of those who seem to rise effortlessly to the top, overlooking the countless struggles and failures that occurred behind the scenes. The reality, however, is that success is not a linear path. It is not a straight road where every step leads to progress. Success is a journey filled with bumps, obstacles, setbacks, and yes, failure. But it is precisely through overcoming failure that we achieve success. Each failure, each mistake, each misstep is a lesson that moves us one step closer to our ultimate goal. When we face failure, it can feel like a blow to our self-esteem, a setback that leaves us questioning our abilities, our worth, and our dreams. It's natural to want to avoid failure, to fear the embarrassment or the disappointment that can come with it. But the truth is, failure is an integral part of the process. It is not something to be ashamed of or something to fear. Instead, failure is an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to grow. It is in the moments of failure that we often discover the strength, the resilience, and the creativity that we didn't know we had. One of the biggest misconceptions about success is that it comes easily to those who are talented or fortunate. While talent and luck can play a role, true success is built on perseverance, resilience, and the ability to learn from failure. Every successful person has experienced failure at some point in their journey. Thomas Edison, for example, is often celebrated as the inventor of the light bulb, but what is less often acknowledged is the countless times he failed before achieving his breakthrough. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's success didn't come because he avoided failure. It came because he embraced failure as a part of the process and used setback as an opportunity to refine his approach and learn something new. Similarly, Michael Jordan, regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was famously cut from his high school basketball team. That early failure could have crushed his dreams, but instead it fueled his determination to become better. He once said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." Jordan's path to greatness was not without its failures. In fact, it was his ability to overcome failure and use it as motivation that set him apart and propelled him to the top of his game. Overcoming failure requires a mindset shift. It requires the understanding that failure is not a reflection of our worth or abilities, but a necessary part of the journey to success. Failure is a teacher, and the lessons it provides are invaluable. When we fail, we are forced to confront our weaknesses, to assess our approach, and to find new ways to move forward. This process of reflection and adaptation is what leads to growth and improvement. Without failure, there would be no reason to change, no reason to try new things, and no reason to innovate. Failure forces us out of our comfort zones and into a space where we can stretch, experiment, and learn. It is important to remember that failure does not define us. What defines us is how we respond to failure. Do we give up, or do we rise again? Do we allow failure to stop us, or do we use it as fuel to keep going? Success is not about avoiding failure. It is about developing the resilience and the determination to overcome it. Each time we fail and rise again, we build the mental toughness that is necessary to succeed. It is through this process that we develop the confidence to take risks, the perseverance to keep pushing forward, and the wisdom to know when to adjust our strategies. Success requires overcoming failure because failure teaches us what success cannot. Success teaches us about the rewards of hard work and determination, but failure teaches us about our own character. It teaches us about the depth of our commitment to our goals, the strength of our resolve, and the power of our perseverance. When we face failure and refuse to give up, we develop the qualities that are essential to achieving success. Without those failures, we would never develop the grit, the resilience, and the wisdom that come with overcoming obstacles. The key to success is not in avoiding failure, but in learning to embrace it as part of the journey. Failure is not a sign that we are not capable. It is a sign that we are trying, that we are pushing ourselves to be better, to reach higher, and to achieve more. Success requires overcoming failure because failure is the forge in which success is shaped. It is the furnace that molds us into the person we need to become in order to handle the challenges and the rewards that come with success. So the next time you face failure, don't be discouraged. Don't take it personally. Instead, recognize it for what it is, an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to move closer to your goals. Understand that success is not about avoiding failure, it's about overcoming it. Keep going, keep learning, and keep growing, because it's through overcoming failure that you will ultimately achieve the success you desire. Finding the lesson in every failure is one of the most powerful mindsets you can adopt in life. Failure, though often painful, is an unavoidable part of the human experience. Whether we are pursuing a dream, building a career, working on personal growth, there will always be moments when things don't go as planned. It's easy to view these moments as setbacks or to become discouraged, but the truth is that failure holds valuable lessons that can guide us, teach us, and help us evolve into better versions of ourselves. The key is to learn how to find the lesson in every failure, to view each mistake as an opportunity for growth, and to extract the wisdom that will ultimately help us move forward on our journey. When failure occurs, the immediate emotional response is often disappointment, frustration, or even shame. It can feel like a personal setback, a sign that we are not good enough or that we've done something wrong. However, it's important to recognize that failure does not define us. It's simply a result of the actions we take, the risks we make, and the obstacles we encounter. Failure is not a reflection of our worth, rather it's a tool for learning. If we can shift our perspective and approach failure with curiosity instead of fear, we can begin to uncover the lessons that lie beneath the surface. One of the first lessons failure teaches us is the importance of resilience. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel like giving up, but resilience is about bouncing back, about finding the strength to keep moving forward, even after we fall. Failure is often a test of our perseverance, and the lesson it offers is that we can handle adversity. We learn that setbacks are not permanent, and that we have the ability to rise again. With each failure, we develop a stronger sense of resilience, learning how to manage disappointment, adjust our approach, and keep going even when it feels tough. Failure also teaches us the importance of self-reflection. When something doesn't go right, it forces us to pause and ask ourselves why. What went wrong? What could we have done differently? These questions are not meant to make us feel bad about ourselves. They are meant to help us learn and grow. The lesson in self-reflection is that we must take ownership of our mistakes, not as a way of blaming ourselves, but as a way of gaining clarity on how we can improve. Failure gives us the space to step back, look at the situation objectively, and identify the areas where we need to change or grow. This introspection is what allows us to avoid making the same mistakes again and to move forward with greater wisdom and understanding. Another important lesson failure teaches us is the value of adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes things don't go as planned, no matter how hard we try. We may have a vision of how things should unfold, but failure often reveals that we need to adapt to new circumstances, rethink our approach, or try something completely different. The lesson here is that success doesn't always come in the form we expect. Failure teaches us to be flexible, to stay open-minded, and to adjust our strategies when necessary. By embracing change and staying willing to pivot, we become more resourceful and capable of navigating life's challenges with greater ease. Failure also highlights the importance of persistence. Many times success does not come easily. It requires multiple attempts, adjustments, and learning from past mistakes. The lesson here is that success is not about avoiding failure, but about continuing to try even after we've encountered setbacks. Each failure is an opportunity to refine our approach, to test new ideas, and to keep pushing forward. When we persist in the face of failure, we build the mental toughness and determination needed to achieve our goals. The lesson is clear: persistence is often the key to eventual success. Moreover, failure teaches us humility. When we fail, we are reminded that we are not infallible, that we don't have all the answers, and that there is always room for improvement. Failure humbles us, helping us to recognize our limitations and acknowledge that we don't always have control over the outcome. This humility is essential for growth because it opens us up to learning and receiving feedback. Without failure, we might develop a false sense of superiority or feel invincible. Failure, however, keeps us grounded, reminding us that we are always learning and evolving. One of the most profound lessons that failure offers is the realization that failure is not the end. It is simply part of the process. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to see it as a dead end, but in reality, failure is just a detour, a chance to reassess, re-examine, and keep moving forward. Each time we fail and then rise again, we gain more confidence in our ability to overcome obstacles and face challenges head on. The lesson here is that failure does not define the outcome. It's only a chapter in the larger story of success. By seeing failure as a temporary setback, we can keep our eyes on the bigger picture and remain focused on our long-term goals. Failure also teaches us to be kinder to ourselves. Often we are our own harshest critics. When we fail, it's easy to engage in negative self-talk and to beat ourselves up for not achieving our desired result. However, the lesson in failure is that we need to treat ourselves with compassion. Failure is a natural part of the learning process, and it's okay to make mistakes. By being gentle with ourselves and practicing self-compassion, we can move past failure without letting it damage our confidence or self-worth. Failure becomes less of a burden and more of a stepping stone when we approach it with understanding and grace. Ultimately, the lesson in every failure is that it's not the failure itself that defines us, but how we respond to it. Failure is not something to fear or avoid. It is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. By finding the lessons in each failure, we can turn setbacks into stepping stones and continue on the path towards success. Failure is not an end. It is merely a part of the journey, and within it lies the wisdom and resilience that will carry us forward. Failure is temporary. No matter how many times you fail, the opportunity for success remains. It's a concept that may seem difficult to embrace, especially when we're faced with setback after setback. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel like all hope is lost, like success is slipping further and further away. But the truth is that failure is a natural part of the journey toward success, and it is never permanent. Each time you fail, you're presented with the opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. The key is to understand that failure is not the end. It's simply a temporary moment in time, and it does not diminish the possibility of success in the future. It's important to recognize that no one achieves success without experiencing failure along the way. If we look at any great achiever, whether in business, sports, or any other field, we see a history of mistakes, setbacks, and challenges. What sets these individuals apart is their understanding that failure is not a sign of permanent defeat. Instead, it is a stepping stone to greater achievement. In fact, many successful people would argue that failure is an essential part of their success. They've learned how to fail forward, to use each failure as an opportunity to refine their approach and get closer to their goals. This mindset is what allows them to keep moving forward, even when things don't go according to plan. One of the most important things to understand about failure is that it doesn't define you. Failure may feel discouraging, and it may temporarily shake your confidence, but it is not a reflection of your worth or your potential. It is simply an event, a moment in time when things didn't go the way you expected. It's easy to take failure personally, to believe that one mistake means you're incapable of succeeding. But this could not be further from the truth. Every failure is a chance to learn, to grow, and to become more resilient. What truly matters is how you respond to failure. If you allow it to be the end of the road, then it becomes permanent. But if you see failure as a temporary setback, an opportunity to reevaluate, and adjust, and it becomes just one part of a much larger journey towards success. Another reason why failure is temporary is that the world around us is constantly changing. Opportunities are always emerging, and success is never out of reach, no matter how many times you fail. The key is to recognize that failure is not a permanent state. It may feel discouraging in the moment, but if you keep going, if you continue to pursue your dreams and goals, you will eventually find success. Life is full of surprises, and sometimes success comes when you least expect it. Just because you fail today doesn't mean that your dreams are out of reach forever. As long as you're alive and striving, there will always be opportunities for success on the horizon. In addition to the opportunities around us, the process of failure itself often brings us closer to the answers we need. When we fail, we are forced to reflect, to reassess, and to learn from our mistakes. Each failure provides us with valuable feedback that can help us adjust our approach and improve our chances of success in the future. Rather than seeing failure as something to be feared, we can view it as a powerful tool that helps us refine our strategies, identify weaknesses, and then the foundations for success. In this way, failure is not just a temporary setback, it is an integral part of the process that prepares us for greater accomplishments. Failure is also temporary because of the power of persistence. Success rarely happens overnight, and it certainly doesn't happen without effort. The path to success is often long and filled with obstacles, but the most important thing is to keep going. Every time you fail, you have the chance to try again, to adjust your methods, and to approach the challenge from a new angle. It's through persistence, through the willingness to keep moving forward despite the setbacks, that success becomes possible. Many people who are successful today did not achieve their goals on their first attempt, or even their second, their fourth attempt. They kept going, they refused to give up, and eventually their persistence paid off. There's also something uniquely powerful about the idea that failure is temporary, because it reminds us that time is on our side. As long as we keep moving forward, keep learning, and keep trying, we are constantly getting closer to our goal. Even if progress feels slow, every step is a step in the right direction. It's easy to become disheartened when we don't see immediate results, but time is one of our greatest allies. The more time we spend refining our skills, building our knowledge, and pushing through failure, the more likely it is that we will eventually find success. Failure may slow us down, but it doesn't stop us, and it doesn't stop the opportunities that lie ahead. It's also important to remember that success is not always a straight path. Sometimes failure redirects us to a better path, one that we might not have considered, or one that we wouldn't have discovered without first facing. Life often has a way of working things out when we least expect it. What feels like a failure today may lead to a better opportunity tomorrow. The key is to keep an open mind, to stay flexible, and to trust that the journey, even with its failures, is moving us closer to something better. In conclusion, failure is temporary. No matter how many times you fail, the opportunity for success remains. Every time you experience failure, remember that it is not the end of the road. It is a temporary setback, a moment in time that is just part of the process. Failure doesn't define you or your potential. It is simply a stepping stone that helps you learn, adapt, and grow. Success is always within reach as long as you persist, continue to reflect, and remain open to the opportunities that arise. No matter how many times you fail, success is still waiting for you. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you rise. And as long as you keep getting back up, success will always remain within your grasp. Keep going no matter what. These two words may seem simple, but they carry with them the power to transform your life. Life has a way of throwing obstacles in our path, testing our resolve, and challenging our ability to persevere. It's easy to feel defeated when things don't go as planned, when setbacks pile up, and when failure seems inevitable. But the truth is, the most successful people in the world are not the ones who have never failed, nor the ones who have had smooth, uninterrupted paths. They are the ones who have kept going when it felt like giving up was the only option. The journey to success is not a straight line. It's filled with ups and downs, twists and turns, moments of doubt, and times when the finish line seems impossibly far away. Yet those who keep going are the ones who eventually reach it. In fact, the ability to keep going, to keep pushing forward despite adversity, is often what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who don't. When you're faced with a challenge, it's easy to feel like quitting is the best option. It's easy to look at the obstacles ahead and believe that they are insurmountable. But it's in those moments that the decision to keep going becomes crucial. Keep going even when the road is rough. even when you don't see immediate results and even when you're unsure of the outcome. Because success is not about avoiding failure, it's about continuing to move forward despite it. One of the most powerful things about the decision to keep going is that it builds resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after facing adversity, to continue moving forward, even when it feels like the world is pushing against you. Every time you face a setback and choose to keep going, you strengthen your resilience. Over time, this resilience becomes one of your greatest assets. It helps you stay focused on your goals no matter how difficult the journey may be. With every challenge you overcome, you build the inner strength that allows you to face future obstacles with greater ease. Keeping going is not just about reaching your destination, it's about becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable along the way. Another reason why it's important to keep going is that persistence is the key to success. Success is rarely a matter of one great breakthrough or one perfect decision. It is the result of consistent effort, of taking small, steady steps forward every day, even when progress seems slow. When you keep going, you build momentum. Even on the days when you feel like you're not making progress, you're still moving forward, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. Success often comes not to the person with the most talent or the best ideas, but to the person who refuses to give up. The simple act of persistence can be the difference between failure and success. There's also something incredibly powerful about the act of keeping going in the face of uncertainty. It's easy to keep going when everything is going well, when things are clear and straightforward. But the true test of perseverance comes when you don't know what's ahead, when you're walking into the unknown with no guarantee of success. It's in these moments that the decision to keep going becomes an act of faith, trusting that even though you can't see the end result, the journey is worth it. It's believing that no matter how many obstacles you encounter along the way, each step you take brings you closer to something valuable. Keeping going in these moments requires courage, but it is also what leads to the greatest rewards. It's also important to understand that keeping going doesn't always mean pushing through without adjustment. It doesn't mean stubbornly pursuing the same approach when it's not working. Sometimes keeping going means reevaluating your strategy, learning from your mistakes, and finding new ways to move forward. It's about being flexible, being willing to adapt, and having the humility to change course when necessary. The key is not to stop, but to keep going with a renewed sense of purpose. To keep going with the understanding that every obstacle is an opportunity to learn and grow. Every failure, every challenge is a chance to refine your approach and move closer to your goal. The decision to keep going is also about commitment. When you decide to pursue a goal, whether it's a career aspiration, a personal project, or a dream you've held for years, there will always be moments when you question whether it's worth it. You may wonder if it's too difficult, too far out of reach, or if you're simply not cut out for it. But commitment is about making the decision to continue even when the going gets tough. It's about staying true to your vision and understanding that challenges are a natural part of the process. The more committed you are to your goals, the more you'll be willing to push through adversity and keep going, no matter what. At the end of the day, the choice to keep going is what transforms dreams into reality. It's the decision to keep going that turns visions into tangible accomplishments. It's the refusal to give up that allows us to realize our full potential. Success is not reserved for those who never failed or never failed to encounter difficulties. It is for those who have the courage to keep going, who continue moving forward despite the setbacks, who keep their eyes on the prize even when the path ahead seems unclear. Every great achievement is the result of someone who refused to quit, who kept going when everyone else might have turned back. So the next time you face a challenge, the next time you feel like quitting, remember this: keep going. Even when it feels hard, even when progress is slow, even when doubt creeps in. Keep going, because success is often just on the other side of persistence. Keep going because every step you take, no matter how small, is moving you closer to your dream. And most importantly, keep going because the journey itself will transform you into someone capable of achieving greatness. The road may be long, but the rewards are worth every step. Keep going.